tell you guys. 3. Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to Libra Reviews. I'm Charlene. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. So I'm here to talk about this whole Diddy's Entertainers, Cassie, freak off situation. Now, I'm not about to go all deep into it because it's a lot to unpack in that topic. It's a lot to unpack, okay? Diddy is an interesting person, and I'm just gonna say that. But what I find interesting is a lot of people have been saying different things about Cassie in particular, and about how, you know, she just was in it for the money. She could have just left. You know, why wouldn't she just leave? Clearly she wanted to be there. You know, she wasn't scared. She wanted to do it. And one of Diddy's entertainers, they were male prostitutes. I don't know what I can say and not say on YouTube, but they were prostitutes, okay? Males. But Diddy and Cassie called them entertainers for the freak-offs. So, of course, now that the entertainers have been called out in court, some of them are doing interviews. One of which, his name is Punisher, okay? Now, Punisher is an entertainer that will come over, hook up with Cassie in front of Diddy while he did his thing in the corner, and he would get paid, you know, here and there. He testified, he gave his testimony, told the courts what happened, and now he's doing interviews. So he was recently on Cameron's show. Now, Cameron, I always liked Cameron, okay? Like, I am a 90s kid, but I grew up my teenage years in the early 2000s, in the 2000s. And Dipset, Cameron, all that, you know, that's my whole vibe. You know, Jim Jones, Santana, Cameron, that's, you know. And so I always liked Cam. Always thought he was cute. Always thought Cam was fine, okay? I used to put that pink fur on with the pink cell phone. You know, I think he had a little pink furry hat, nice brown skin, handsome face. Always thought Cameron was fine. But Cameron has, you know, he's fluctuated, okay, and how he looks to me a little bit. You know what I mean? And hey, he could have his opinions about me. I don't know. Don't really care. But he does podcasts, so I'm talking about his podcast. I know he wants people to talk about his podcast. But used to think he was very attractive. But this one interview, there's been some clips, I'm not going to lie, that I've seen of Cameron, and I've been like, okay, that's a little tacky, like, whatever. But whatever, keep strolling. But recently, Cameron was doing an interview with the Punisher, which was one of Diddy's entertainers, Diddy and Cassie's entertainers. And he asked a question that was so, it was just so to me. Like, I don't even know the word to describe it, but I was just like, why would he ask that? Like, so let's listen to what Cameron had to say during this interview and the line of questioning that he was interested in while he's talking to a guy who was smashing Cassie during the freak-offs.
How was that though?
I mean, bro, even if it was fire.
Bro, was the good, your family? Let's stop with political shit. Was Harlem time, my nigga. You 39th Street or 40th was the how was that, my nigga?
Bro, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I couldn't get there, bro.
First of all, Cassie was getting her behind beat all up and down, drugged and smashed by this man, okay? And the thing that you're interested in, Cameron, is was the PUSSY, was it good? Cameron, you're almost 50, literally. If you don't go get yourself a lady and go sit down, I know everybody's entitled to their opinion, okay? And I know that men, they talk about sex. They could be 100 years old. They're going to talk about sex, you know? But that's kind of like a question and a conversation that you have like in the barbershop, you know what I'm saying? You know, while you and your homeboys is on the way, you know, out and about, that you have y'all little man's night out, whatever. Like, it just, I don't know. It just was so insensitive. It was just so, like, you know, that's what you're worried about? You want to know how Cassie's vagina was? That's what you're interested in? Nigga, you about to be on the other side of 50, working your way up to 100 years old. Talking about some, well, how was the pussy though? But yeah, how was the pussy though? Yeah, my nigga, how was the pussy though? Ew. Let's continue.
Like, I got a dude pacing back and forth, beating his joint, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My peripherals, my spider senses is wilding, you know what I'm saying? Especially when I found out it was Puff. When I found out it was Puff, it got all the way worse, because if you grew up in Harlem, if you grew up in that era, I can't validate it, but everybody knows there's rumors, right? There's rumors that he could be, you know, interested in dudes. So the whole time I'm semi-paranoid. Like I wrote in my book, bro, for real, I got a hearing problem.
Right.
And sometimes when he would get...
So the entertainer had a hearing problem, okay? So Diddy was making Cassie smash men with with disabilities and shit. Not you had a hearing problem, Punisher.
Her directions, I would hear like something completely different. Like he'll say, yo, I like the position you in, and I'm like, yo, did he just say I wish I could penetrate him? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm hearing, like, yo, hold up, wait, what did you just say? Like,
so.
Okay, that was funny. Okay, but yeah, like, that was just so, like, I don't know, maybe is tacky the word? Like, it's just like, Cameron, like, nigga, like, you're 49 years old, you're 50. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe he could have asked it in a different way. It just, I don't know. Cameron, I mean, I saw a video of Cameron not too long ago. Like, I guess he was at some girl's house hooking up with some girl, and he was leaving the house with no shoes on. He was like, yeah, you know, the bitch tried to hide my shoes so I wouldn't leave. She don't know I'm a leave. And I'm like, Cameron, you're 50. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a single man and you doing your thing, I don't think Cameron has any children either. So it's just like, you single, you ain't got no kids, hey, do you. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's just the way you go about it. Like, it's just like, bro, like, you're not 23. You're not 28. You're 49. You're going to be 50 on your next birthday. It's just like, just the way you carry yourself. Like, if you're single, you have no kids, like, fuck bitches get money. Like, it's just the way you go about it. So, a little tacky. But the reason why I'm doing this whole video is the Punisher also did an interview on Vlad TV. You know what I mean? And Vlad pretty much asked the Punisher the same question that Cameron asked. How was the PUSSY? Okay? So let's get into what the Punisher had to say. And this is really what I want to comment on when the Punisher answers and tells Vlad what he has to say about the question.
Your drink.
Well, I have to repeat what Cameron asked you. How's the pussy?
And I got to repeat what Cameron told me. So that day specifically. Dude, I was petrified, bro. I couldn't feel anything.
Petrified. Okay, that's where I want to get to. So, I don't know if you guys know what the Punisher looks like, but from what he, I think, described of himself and how he kind of looks on camera, this is a big, buff dude, okay? From Harlem, New York, okay? He's not some, like, small 5-something man. Not that that means anything, but, like, you know what I mean? He's not, like, some, like, small dude from, like, a suburb in Ohio. Like, this guy's a big dude, you know what I'm saying, muscle bound, and you have this guy who did sex work in a way. He was a dancer. You have this guy who was doing sex work, this big grown ass man who said, when asked about having intercourse with Cassie, he said he was petrified. So if this grown man was petrified, how do you think Cassie felt? For all those people out there that are like, well, why didn't she just leave? Excuse me. Well, I believe Cassie did try to leave, like she did in the hotel room that one time on the video that we saw. And she's literally leaving out of the hotel room with no shoes on. Like, you could tell she's creeping out and trying to escape. She didn't even have no shoes on. She waited until she got to the elevator, waiting for the slow ass elevators to come to put her shoes on. And he came out and dragged her back to the room, essentially. So it's like, for the people that are saying like, oh, well, why didn't she just leave? If she really didn't want to do it, why didn't she just leave? Well, it was probably hard and intimidating and petrifying for Cassie, because you have this grown ass man who wasn't even in the relationship with Diddy. Diddy never even put his hands on this guy, and he was petrified. Let's continue.
I could not do it. That day, I went down to some sex shop in the village, and I got some 2,000 milligram pill called Trio Power Zen. You know what I'm saying? Bro, I couldn't feel a thing, man. I couldn't feel a thing. I was really over-medicated, just trying to have an erection, and that kills any sensation that I could feel. I was really numbed out. So,
but if you orgasm, you are obviously feeling a pleasurable act.
Every orgasm, I had to manually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you never actually
all
about to come and pull out and bust. Oh.
Every single time we would stop, whatever the sexual was, and it was like, that's how I told you it was almost like mandatory, because it wasn't in the normal flow.
Aha.
It was finish the sex part, and then I would have to rub one out. And it was like a concentrated, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta get, it was like that.
Okay. And this whole time, you're not talking to Diddy at all, ever?
Never have one word of communication.
Was it still 2,000 every time, or would the numbers go up?
It would sometimes it would be 12, sometimes it would be 2,000.
$12 and $2,000 from a billionaire is crazy. Okay. Now, as he just said, he was petrified, so maybe he was a little scared to ask for more. But I'm sorry, Bookie, but I would have needed at least, I'd have asked for 15 and I would have accepted 8. Like, Punisher. You clearly, the nigga was just, I don't know, but $1,200 to dope myself up on dick hardening pills and stay in rooms for hours and hours and hours and have intercourse in front of a man, a very powerful man that I'm petrified to be around, while I'm manually chafing my penis to orgasm. Like, are you kidding me? I just don't understand how people are just so, like, small-minded. You know what I mean? So simple-minded. You know what I mean? And I also want to say, like, two things can exist at the same time. Like, I feel like people could want to engage and want to get the money, and they could also be coerced and be used and be abused. Two things can exist at the same time. You know what I mean? And even if there were times that Cassie or the entertainers, they were like, well, fuck, F it, I really do want to do this. That still doesn't mean that what they're accusing Diddy of, which is corrosion, sex trafficking and things like that, that still doesn't mean that that's something that he's allowed to do, even if there's willing participants. And I think a lot of people aren't understanding that. Like, for instance, you can have somebody that's looking you in your face and saying, yo, I want you to take me out. I want you to take my life. I want you to take my life. Take my life right now. So you go in the kitchen and you get a weapon, or you go into your bed and you get a weapon and you take that person out, you're still going to jail. It doesn't matter whether the person wanted to do it or not. It doesn't matter if the person is telling you to do it. It's still wrong for you to do that. It's the same with pimping. You get what I'm saying? A lot of pimps, these hoes out here be wanting to sell it. You know, they don't want to work a job. They don't want to work an honest living like myself. They just want to lay on their back for anywhere from 3, 5, 10, 15 minutes, make a couple $100, make a few $100, and go on about their day. That's how some women are. They want to do that. They want to sell coochie for their man. They be having babies by their pimps and all types of stuff. But if that pimp gets caught and busted by the feds, he's going to get locked up. He can't go to court and be like, I mean, well, them bitches wanted to sell that cat. They wanted to do it. That's not going to work. So Cassie's not filing and fighting Diddy. It's the state. Now, I will say, do I think that the state is trying to get Diddy? Yeah, I do. You know what I mean? On some instances, I'm kind of like, damn, like I feel like they're really kind of like pulling at straws just a tad to take this man under. Do they have a case in certain areas? Absolutely. Diddy is freaking nuts, you know, in my opinion. But do I feel like, yeah, like I feel like, damn, like they just trying to get his ass. They just trying to get him. Like, you know what I mean? Do I feel like that? Absolutely. But two things can be true at the same time. But do I think that Cassie was a willing participant? I think she was. I think she wanted to please her man. And speaking of pimps, I know a lot of them say with dealing with women, once you get a woman's mind, the tail will follow. And women will will go to lengths to please their man. Now, sweetie, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not banging 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 niggas in one night to please no man. Listen, I will be lonely all by myself. Excuse me. Now, me, I'm not doing that to please no man, but some women, they will go to great lengths to please their man. You have some women that have wiped out their bank accounts, who have moved across the country. I mean, women will do crazy things. And like I said earlier, with the whole pimp mentality, it really is true. And that's not even really with women. It's the truth. Once you get somebody convinced in their mind, it's easy for everything else to kind of follow and fall in line. You get what I'm saying? So I think it was a mixture of Cassie was genuinely in love and feared Diddy and wanted to please him. And a part of she felt like she had to, you know? And I feel like maybe she was down with it in the beginning, but she eventually was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I mean, it's so many scenarios, but the fact of the matter is I think two things can be true at the same time. I think that she willingly participated in these things because she was trying to please her man. I think she was texting Diddy those things saying, oh, you know I'm ready for a freak off, because that's what Diddy wanted. If she didn't show interest, if she acted like she didn't want, he would be violent towards her. So she was like, you know what, I'm a Texas. I know that's what he likes. How many times, ladies, have you been in the bed with a damn robe on, a bonnet on, socks, drool halfway hanging out your mouth? But if your man texts you and say, yo, send me a sexy picture, you'll get out the bed and you'll, bend over and, take your robe off, bend over and take a picture. You don't want to do it, but you know what'll make him happy. Child, you don't want to, you in the bed. So it's and that's the thing when it comes down to sex crimes, they're so hard to prove because there's so many gray areas. But unless you've gone through some type of sexual abuse, I feel like you may not ever understand fully. There's a lot of people that have experienced, sexual violence, men, women, women on women, men on men, women to man, child to adult. Like, there's been so many different sexual assault situations that go unreported. And it just is what it is. So we're not going to act like just because somebody doesn't say anything or just because somebody waits or whatever, it negates the fact that it happened. Like, you know, it's, and one thing, another thing I will say on this, and then I'll probably end the video after this. Unless you've been sexually abused, shut up. Shut up. Unless somebody forcefully made you take drugs, took advantage of your body, whatever maybe the situation is, shut up. It's kind of like the same situation where people be like, if you don't got no kids, you ain't fully going on this. You can't talk about having kids. If you ain't never did this, if you ain't never grew up with a parent that was on drugs, if you ain't never had to take care of yourself as a child, you'll never understand how I feel and what I go through. It's the same thing with this whole sexual abuse and sexual trauma and being coerced and things like that. If you've never been through that, then shut up. And what I always kind of think, I'm like, these people that are saying, well, if it was me, if she really wanted to, if it was like this, she would have reported. If she really wanted this, she would have did this. If she really wanted, I want somebody, and I don't really want somebody to do this, but I want somebody to bend you over and bleep you and your ass with no grease, and I want to see how you deal with it. And you better deal with it the proper way. You better deal with it. You better take every single step. You better call the police. You better go get a rape kit. You better do every single step. You better tell everybody. You better expose yourself. People don't understand how embarrassed you feel after that type of situation. You literally feel embarrassed. Like, it's something that nobody will ever understand unless you really went through it. So if you haven't gone through it, and you have opinions and things that you want to say, fine. I would like to see how you would deal with it if it happened to you. And it better be the ABC way and the proper way on how you deal with it. You better report it every single way. You get what I'm saying? It's all cool until it actually happens to you. You know what I'm saying? Everybody talk about what they woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda, maybe woulda did until your ass is actually in the goddamn situation. And you had a grown man who was saying, man, I was petrified. And all he was doing was getting paid to smash a baddie. He even said in one of his interviews, he said when he first met Cassie, she was under kind of a disguise. But he said when she opened the door, he was like, wow, she's bad. She's beautiful. And she is. But you have this grown man and his only duty was to smash a baddie and get paid for it. And he was even petrified. So, miss me with the bull. So, that's all I had to say. Thank you for tuning into my video. And until next time, deuces.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun. I gotta be good.